What is happening, Who Dat Nation? Welcome into another edition of Saints Now by Chat Sports, live from the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. My name is Trace Girouard, and welcome into the show. I wanted to talk about some chatter that I overheard walking around, just hearing people discuss various different things, whether it's media personalities, whether it's NFL GMs and coaches, or whoever it is. I heard a little bit of chatter that the Baltimore Ravens might actually be interested in pursuing Michael Thomas. So I'm going to discuss my thoughts on that and whether or not I think that Mike should stick around in New Orleans for one more season. But before we get to that, I want to quickly encourage you to subscribe and lock us in. That way you can get updated Saints news and rumors all throughout the offseason and the regular season. And on top of that, it's Saints content by Saints fans for Saints fans. So if you want to be a part of the fastest growing fan base and the fastest growing YouTube channel on the internet around the New Orleans Saints, lock us in and go a little bit further. Hit the thumbs up icon and like the video. All right, so I want to just talk about Michael Thomas here because this is a very interesting topic of discussion. He is a great football player when he's healthy. He's done a lot of really great things in New Orleans. There's also been a lot of sour tastes left in Saints' mouths by the injury issues that plague the wide receiver. And I think that number 13 is a really, really talented player, and I would love for him to stick around and be a New Orleans Saint for life. But I do think that it's unrealistic to have that expectation. Michael Thomas, over the past few years, he's only played in a very limited amount of games. This year, he played in 10, which is great. But that's the same amount that he's played in the 3 years prior. In 2021, remember, he didn't play at all. In 2022, barely got any action. 3 touchdowns, though, not too bad. And in 2020, he couldn't find the end zone, which is unfortunate. However, he is a player that is dominant in between the hashes. He's great on slants, and I understand the nickname of Slant Boy. I get that it's funny. But my thing is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It works really, really well. And unfortunately, Derek Carr was not able to make that connection during the season this past year. And if you go back to the recruitment process of Derek Carr, Michael Thomas was really, really major in that. I mean, he was a big part as to why Carr decided to come to the New Orleans Saints in free agency. I also remember Michael Thomas celebrating the Saints bringing in Derek Carr. But if you guys go back and look at the film and remember the season and just relive all the heartbreak that we felt, Michael Thomas and Derek Carr never had that connection that you really wanted. And it's unfortunate, and I would have loved to see it work out. Personally, like as a fan, of course, I want Mike to stick around because he's awesome. But there is also the side of things that you have to consider that he might not be the player he once was. And I think that that's a very realistic thing to say because I don't think he's as talented as he used to be back in 2019 when he was the number one wide receiver in the NFL. I think that Mike is a tantalizing player. I think he's a very interesting player. But there's starting to be some drama, and he got, detained and arrested, and he's talking bad about the team and going to Twitter and chirping guys. I mean, it's just so much, and it's come to a point where it just is too much. It's a boiling point, and I'm done with it. So personally, I'm done with Michael Thomas. It would be fun to keep him around, of course. But I think you have to be realistic and free up some cap space, make the tough decision, and move on from that wide receiver and let him go explore, other options like the Ravens. I think the Chiefs and the Cowboys are all 3 teams that could be very, very interested in the player. So I want you to weigh in for me. Let me know in the comments section, is it time for the New Orleans Saints to move on from Michael Thomas? Just give me a simple M for move on or a K for keep in the comment section. I'm very interested to see what you guys have to say. And if you guys are tired of hearing about Michael Thomas, that's fair as well. I want you guys to sound off and let me know that too. All right, so coming up, we have a new report around why the New Orleans Saints interviewed Jayden Daniels, and it's coming in from Jeff Ireland himself. I actually think that what Ireland said is a really good point, and it's pretty similar to what I was talking about yesterday in our video, announcing that Jayden Daniels met with the Saints, which, for the record, by the way, another reminder to subscribe because I had it before Ian Rappaport. Just saying. Anyway, I want to give a big time shout out to today's sponsor, and it is Fanatics. Shout out to them for sponsoring today's video and making it possible. If you guys want to get geared up for the NFL season, get some new merch, go check them out. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. We got men's, we got women's, any player you want, any color, color rush, whatever. Just use our link so that way Fanatics knows we sent you. It supports us, and it also helps you get way more fire in your wardrobe. So go to the link, chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. It's in the comment section and description of this video just to make it a little bit easier for you. All right, so I think that Jayden Daniels is going to be a very interesting player. I'm really, really excited about where he may or may not go in the draft. And I think that Jeff Ireland actually made a really good point here by kind of explaining why the Saints met with Daniels and also diving into the possibility of there could be a reunion or a homecoming, if you will, or a homestaying of him sticking around Louisiana. So let's talk about it real quick. So Ireland's saying that the draft isn't an inexact science. You can't say he'll be gone. You never know. We have to be prepared for everything. I've been in drafts where players have slipped. I don't think Daniels is going to, but I've been in drafts where maybe we've taken things for granted and that he's going to be gone. And then you get to it and he's still sitting there for us, and maybe our scouting staff didn't do our homework on that time on that player. That's a dangerous game to play. So we're going to do our homework on every single player, and that was the case with Jayden. We had a great interview with him. He was a great kid, and he's very impressive. So I think Jayden Daniels is going to be a top 5 pick. I mean, it's so hard to see a world where he gets out of the top 5. Our chat sports team here in Indianapolis actually got to sit down with Dane Brugler, and Dane even said that he thinks it's going to be a top 5 pick as well. So, I mean, the Saints understand that it's unlikely, but just because it's unlikely doesn't mean it's impossible. So for everyone in the comments that have been blowing up my comment section and blowing up my mentions on social media, it's impossible, it'll never happen, the Saints cannot get him, it just won't happen. I get why you're saying that, but just because it's unlikely doesn't mean it's impossible. So to round out today's video, I just want to get one more question in for you, and I want you to get loud in the comment section for me. Who should New Orleans draft at number 14 overall? There's been a lot of really interesting players who have met with the Saints, some DBs, some tight ends, some safeties, a lot of really good players and really good prospects have met with New Orleans this week. So I want you to be the GM, get in the draft room, and sound off for me. And as always, Saints fans, y'all stay golden. We'll see you next time.